Imagine a single narrow body of water holding the entire global economy hostage. A tight bottleneck, barely 21 miles wide, that forces 20% of the world's petroleum through it every single day. This is the Strait of Hormuz, the vital artery of the modern world. If it stops, global supply chains collapse and fuel prices skyrocket overnight. We've known about this danger for decades. But what if there was a radical alternative? A megaproject costing up to $100 billion, designed to blast a brand new shipping lane directly through solid mountains to bypass the strait completely? To understand why engineers would even consider spending this astronomical amount of money, we first have to look at the map. The Persian Gulf is surrounded by the world's largest oil producers: Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, the UAE, and Iran. Almost all the oil exported by sea from these nations must pass through a single gateway. While the strait itself is 21 miles wide, the actual shipping lanes used by massive tankers are only 2 miles wide in each direction. Through this microscopic corridor flows roughly 20 million barrels of oil daily. This is the energy that powers global shipping, manufacturing, and agriculture. Yet this lifeblood passes through one of the most politically volatile regions on Earth. A single miscalculation or escalation could shut it down completely. It's a reality where the global economy bets its entire future on a single, fragile choke point. And that is where the blueprint for a backup plan comes in. For years, engineers searched for an exit strategy. They found it at the northern tip of Oman, the Musandam Peninsula. It's a rugged piece of land jutting straight into the strait. In some places, the distance across this peninsula between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman is just a few dozen miles. The bold idea was born. Why not carve a canal directly through this land? On paper, it sounds brilliant. Supertankers could enter a deep, custom-built canal and exit directly into the open ocean, avoiding the volatile strait entirely. But reality is a brutal engineering nightmare. The Musandam Peninsula isn't soft sand. It is dominated by the Al-Hajar Mountains, one of the most unforgiving geological formations in the Middle East. With jagged rocky peaks rising over 6,000 feet, the rock here is incredibly dense and solid. Building this canal wouldn't just be digging. It would require the continuous blasting and demolition of entire mountain ranges. Then, there is the problem of the ships themselves. Ultra-large crude carriers weigh over 300,000 tons and require massive depths just to float. Constructing a canal wide enough and deep enough to accommodate these giants through a mountain range is practically unprecedented in human history. For context, the Panama Canal expansion cost roughly $5 billion. This project could easily scale from $100 billion to over $400 billion. Because of this insane cost, Gulf nations haven't waited around. Saudi Arabia built the East-West pipeline to move oil across the desert to the Red Sea, and the UAE built a pipeline directly to the Gulf of Oman. These are massive engineering feats, but they aren't enough. Together, they can only handle about 30% of the oil passing through the region. The remaining 70% still relies on that single, narrow waterway, which brings us back to the canal. Even if the trillions of dollars were secured, a fundamental problem remains. A canal doesn't eliminate a choke point, it just creates a new one. Instead of a natural strait, the world would depend on an artificial trench that could be completely blocked by a single accident, an attack, or a natural disaster. Ultimately, the Musandam Canal remains a stunning example of human ambition, the desire to engineer our way out of global risk. But it also reminds us of the limits of that ambition. For now, the global economy remains bound to a fragile natural gateway, hoping the ships keep moving without interruption. If you want to discover the massive hidden blueprints keeping our modern world alive, hit that subscribe button. This is the Blueprint Chronicles. Extraordinary stories hidden in plain sight.